Hello. So since I recently got Yoimiya and Echoes for peace, I thought I should do some testing with this fun new set. Unfortunately, I don't have any Shimenawa or Crimson sets to compare it to, so I'll just be making comparisons on the buffed versus unbuffed and with for peace versus without. A few notes about the set beforehand. 1. It's bugged if you have high ping. Feel free to look up the confirmations for this. I believe it was in some Yato main server. Basically with high ping, the chance increase will not proc as much as it should, so be wary of that. 2. As far as I'm aware, it's not as effective in vaporize comps, since it can buff at the wrong time. Of course, it could also buff on vaporize hits, so it's up to you to decide. I don't use Shinki, so I didn't look into this a lot. Alright, enough of that. Let's get into the testing. I will explain every test and each condition, as well as do my best to provide numbers and calculations for everything. But please remember her passive makes it a little hard for me, so everything won't be 100% accurate. Usually, don't show builds in the beginning, but I thought this was important to show first. I'll be using this for every test, unless stated otherwise. The first thing I want to test is how the buff affects her multi-shots. I want to see if it counts them as a single hit, which is important because it means that you can have 2 back-to-back shots with, or without buff. I will be using the first shot to test this, assuming 4th shot works the same. Basically the process is, I did this whole thing 5 times to make sure everything matched. Anyways, the data I collected from the videos concluded that her multi-shots count as 1. Here's the data table. Obviously, as I mentioned before, her passive affects the pyro numbers, so I looked at them for just being close enough to what I had recorded based off of the first clip. All 5 videos matched the data, but after more tests I found irregularities. More on that at the end. What about adding some other buffs? I'll show support builds after all their tests. Also, to make my life easier, crit rate food. Don't worry, this has no effect on the actual numbers. It just makes it easier for me to calculate things. Oh yeah, and new attack because of resonance. Data tables will include attack numbers.
Teamwork is dreamwork. Fire hazard.
Oops, I killed it. Anyways, now for the comparison. This is what I'll be using for all 2-piece tests. It's the closest I've got in terms of crit damage, so hopefully, we'll make sure that that isn't what causes a difference. The 2 Wanderers set bonus has no effect since everything is pure pyro with no reactions. Essentially, us beat up the cryo flower a lot. I did 3 to 6 trials per variation depending on what I needed. I won't waste your time with every single test since this video would be over an hour long if I did. Yes, that's how many trials I've done. So I'm just showing one of each.
Everybody stand back. Break a leg. Time for a light show. Everybody stand back. Absorption test. Your grand finale. Work is dream work. Stand clear. Break a leg. Time for a light show.
Support builds.
Ow! Where did that come from?
Not super in-depth, just showing what's relevant. Let's look at the data. If you're a fan of specifics, here's each individual number I used. So what does this actually mean? This column is how much the damage increases between the 2-piece to the 4-piece for each buff. This column is how much the 4-piece damage increases from each buff, compared to baseline with no buffs. The baseline numbers will be shown in the data for the next test. Well, Rust already gives some normal attack damage bonus. How well do other weapons work? Amos complicates things even more with its passive, so bear with me. And lastly, one that doesn't have any normal attack boost. Could use more crit rate. I didn't add the cyclone damage in the calculations, but remember that is some extra damage there. More data. First I want to include the attack stats for everything I used for reference. Just like last time, here's each individual number for those that are interested in that. Explanations again, woo. This column is the increase of buffed versus unbuffed. This column is the difference in percent increase compared to the baseline increase. Anyways, all that says is that Amos and Viridescent Hunt gain a higher percentage of damage increase from the Echoes buff. No, the damage is not higher, just the buff does more work.
They're very cute.
Now, what about her multi-shot irregularities? Basically, what I found was that the 4th shots are always counted as 2 separate shots. The first shots, however, even after about an hour of recordings, they only got buffed separately twice. Once while I had over 300 ping, which they're known to be bugged in high ping, so I assumed that was the cause. But once it was just around my normal ping, everything else seemed to work out that they were counted as 1 shot. But occasionally they can be difficult. Anyways, I just thought it was important to include that this artifact set is kinda all over the place. Please be nice, math is hard. Hope this is useful. Thanks for watching.